Most people build an emergency fund after a financial crisis. The layoff already happened. The medical bill already arrived. The car already broke down at the worst possible moment. And in the aftermath of that crisis, with a credit card balance as a reminder, they finally open a high-yield savings account and start setting money aside. That is reactive financial planning, and it is how the majority of Americans manage their emergency savings. Not as a deliberate strategy built in advance, but as a response to damage already done. Today, I want to talk about something different, something that the data says is coming, something that financial indicators have been signaling with increasing clarity, and something that people who understand economic cycles are actively preparing for right now. The next recession. Not if, when. Recessions are not anomalies in the American economy. They are features. Since World War II, the United States has experienced 12 recessions. That averages to roughly one every 6 to 7 years. The historical pattern is unambiguous. A recession is coming. The timing is uncertain. The impact on households that are not prepared is not. Today, I am going to show you how to build a $100,000 emergency fund, a true recession-proof financial buffer before that moment arrives. And I am going to show you that the timeline is faster than you think. More importantly, I'm going to show you exactly why $100,000 is the number that changes your relationship with economic uncertainty permanently. Stay with me, because this may be the most practically important financial video you watch this year. Before we get into the how, I want to address the number directly, because $100,000 sounds like a goal reserved for people who are already wealthy. It sounds like a target for someone else, someone with a higher income, fewer obligations, a bigger head start. That reaction is understandable, but it is worth examining. The traditional guidance on emergency funds is 3 to 6 months of expenses. For a household spending $4,000 per month, that means $12,000 to $24,000. That is the standard. That is what most financial advice points toward. So why $100,000? Why aim 4 to 8 times higher? Because the traditional recommendation was designed for ordinary emergencies, a job loss lasting a couple of months, a car repair, a medical bill. A recession is not an ordinary emergency. In the 2008 financial crisis, the average duration of unemployment climbed to roughly 40 weeks, nearly 10 months. Entire industries contracted at the same time. Job offers disappeared. Workers who had never struggled to find employment suddenly found themselves searching for 6, 9, even 12 months. A $100,000 emergency fund creates something completely different. For a household spending $4,000 to $5,000 per month, it represents roughly 20 to 25 months of financial runway, nearly 2 years. It means a recession does not force you into desperate decisions. It means you can wait for the right job instead of taking the first one. It means you can keep your investments untouched during a market crash instead of selling at the bottom. It means the event that devastates unprepared households becomes an inconvenience. That is not wealthy. That is financially free. And the distance between where most people are today and that level of security is shorter than they think. Let us talk about the mechanics. Because the path to $100,000 in liquid savings is not a mystery. It is arithmetic. The first variable is your monthly savings rate. The second is the interest your money earns while you build. The third is time. Let us run the numbers. Assuming your savings are held in a high-yield savings account earning approximately 4.5% annually, saving $500 per month gets you to $100,000 in about 13 years. $1,000 per month gets you there in roughly 7 years. $1,500 per month, about 4 years and 8 months. $2,000 per month, roughly 3.5 years. And $3,000 per month, just over 2.5 years. These are not theoretical projections. This is compound interest doing exactly what it has always done, working quietly in the background. And what these numbers reveal is important. For many households, a fully funded $100,000 recession buffer is achievable within 3 to 7 years. Not decades, not a lifetime. 3 to 7 years of deliberate, automated, consistent saving. The question is not whether it is possible. The question is whether it becomes a priority. Now let us talk about structure, because where you hold this money matters almost as much as how much you save. Most people make one of two mistakes. They either leave their emergency savings sitting in a traditional bank account earning almost nothing, or they invested in the stock market chasing higher returns. Both approaches have problems. The first loses purchasing power to inflation. The second exposes emergency money to market volatility. Money that may be needed tomorrow should not be subject to a 30% drawdown. The solution is a 3-tier system. Tier 1 is immediate access cash. 1 to 2 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. Money available within 24 hours. No penalties, no paperwork, no waiting. Tier 2 is your medium access layer. 3 to 6 months of expenses in money market accounts or short-term treasury bills. Government-backed, highly secure, and still earning competitive yields. Tier 3 is your extended runway layer. The remaining balance of your $100,000 target, held in a laddered certificate of deposit portfolio or short-term bond fund. This creates a system that is simultaneously liquid, safe, and productive. Your money stays available, but it also works while it waits. And that balance between security and growth is exactly what recession preparation requires. Now we need to address the most common objection. Why not invest the money instead? After all, the stock market has historically returned around 10% per year. A high-yield savings account earns less than half of that. The objection sounds logical, but it misses something critical. Emergency fund money and investment money have different jobs. Investment money is designed for decades. Emergency fund money is designed for uncertainty. Those are not the same thing. If a recession causes you to lose your job and your emergency fund is invested in stocks, there is a very good chance the market is falling at the exact same time. That means you are forced to sell investments when prices are down. You lock in losses and permanently damage years of compounding. The households that emerged strongest from 2008 and 2020 were not necessarily the ones with the biggest portfolios. They were the ones with enough liquid reserves to leave those portfolios untouched. Their emergency fund protected their investments. That is the strategic value most people miss. So here's the implementation plan. Open a dedicated high-yield savings account this week. Calculate your true monthly essential expenses. Determine a realistic monthly contribution. Then automate the transfer for the day after payday. Every month, without exception. Treat the account as inaccessible except for genuine emergencies. Increase contributions whenever your income increases. And once the fund is complete, redirect those monthly contributions into investments. Because the emergency fund is not the destination, it is the foundation. The foundation that allows every other wealth-building strategy to survive economic storms. Financial security is not about the average case. It is about surviving the worst case without destroying everything you spent years building. A $100,000 emergency fund gives you something incredibly valuable: time. Time to make good decisions, time to stay invested, time to wait for the right opportunity, time to avoid desperation. And that may be the most valuable financial asset of all. Start today, automate tomorrow, and build it before you need it. Because when the recession arrives, it is already too late to start preparing. If this series has been helping you build real financial clarity, make sure you watch the previous videos. Each one builds directly on the others. Subscribe so you do not miss next week. I am breaking down exactly what to do when the stock market crashes and the counterintuitive moves that position you to come out ahead. I am Finn. This is Finn Wealthwise, and I will see you in the next one.